Hello, 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 everyone. It is Teresa from Teresa's Spot for Art. Welcome to Winter Forest Vibes with the Common Canvas. I want to thank our host, Jeannie from Jeannie's Palette, for hosting this YouTube collaboration. I'm going to turn you guys around and we are going to get started. I am using a canvas that I used for something else. It was a simple sunset, and I'm going to paint right over it. If you want the tracer for this, the link is in the description. As well as the colors that I used. So I'm just going to dip my brush in a little bit of water. I'm using a 1-inch flat. I'm going to pick up the blue over here. Let me see. Can you see that? Pick up the blue. I have on here like a very light tan, a little baby blue, and some white. And I'm loading my brush with white. And when I load my brush, I want to apply a little bit of pressure to it on my palette and go to the side of the puddle, not right down in the middle of it, to the side. Okay. And I'm going to start in one corner. And as I go, I'm going to pick up white and the blue now. And I'm just doing messy, yep, painting messily, messy diagonal strokes. And I'm going to work my way up. And then I'm going to work my way. We're going to do about 3/4 of the canvas with this blue and white. And I'm just, see that? Going back and forth with my wrist. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Back and forth. Picking up the blue, picking up the white, and tick tocking my hand back and forth. Almost like on a diagonal. All right, and I'm working my way all the way across the bottom and partly up. I didn't go all across the middle yet. I want my middle to be a little bit whiter. And that's why I skipped around and came over here to this other corner first. Because then I'm just going to be picking up all white on my dirty brush. White. And then more white. And tick-tocking my wrist. I'm going to pick up white and this tan. I'm going to continue to tick-tock. But now I'm going to start blending in some white and some tan up into this corner and making this corner a little bit of a variation with this tan color. I don't want it to be too dark. That's why I'm going to continue picking up the white. But I'm going to work my way up into this corner here. Again, tick-tocking my wrist. If you started getting too much blue way up in here, then let your project dry, clean your brush, start over, and come back up to this tan section. You can go right over the blue. I'm going to take the blue and the tan, and I'm going to paint my edges. If you are working on a canvas board or in a multimedia book, you would not have to do this. You don't even have to do this on a stretch canvas unless you want to, and I will. So I'm going to grab my heat gun, and we are going to dry this, and then I'm going to show you how easy it is to trace. Okay, I have my tracer. I have a piece of graphite paper, and I have something to trace with. This is a stylus. You can use a pen, a pencil, the back of your brush, whatever it is that you want to use. I'm going to line this up, eyeballing it as even as I can. I'm going to put a little piece of tape up here just to hold it in place. And now I'm going to take my graphite paper, and slip it right underneath the tracer, between the tracer and the canvas. And I want the shiny side to be facing down. See, my a little bit wet. Okay. And I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to start tracing in the branches and then our little birds. Now, if you wanted to just draw in the branches with your brush, you can. Probably if I wasn't teaching this class, that is what I would do. Because the branches can be somewhat simple to do, and then you can have a little bit more leeway with where you place them, but it's totally up to you. You can trace everything, you can trace part of it. All right, again, I'm just holding my hand on here and just checking. So I did the head part, the hat, the face. Oh, no feet here. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And there we go. And don't forget, if you need to catch up, your painting still needs to dry, you get cold away, you don't have a dryer or a heat gun, wait for it to dry, hit pause, and then come on back. And I'm going to put this stuff aside. All right. Now I'm going to switch brushes, and I think I'm going to use a combination of this small, I guess it's more of a medium round, and maybe this small round. This is really not really a liner brush. I would call this more of a liner brush. And the big brush that I used, the 1-inch flat I used for the background, I put that in the water already. Okay. So I'm going to put out a little bit of brown and a little bit of black. And the first thing we're going to do is draw in or paint in our tree branches. When if you guys are painting, if you're new to painting, you really don't need a lot of paint. I know a lot of times that we think we do. I'm going to continue using this tan, but you really only need about a quarter size, and then you could always put out more. I'm going to get the medium round. I'm going to come over here, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm not coming into the middle of the puddle. I'm coming over here to the side of the puddle. I'm putting a little bit of pressure on my brush, and I'm rolling it around. I want to get paint up into the fibers of the brush, not just at the very tip. And then I'm just going to pick up a little bit of black. And I'm going to just start painting in my branches. And start painting in. I want the branches to get a little bit thinner as they come further away from the tree. So a little bit of pressure, not too much, just a little bit. Little tiny strokes. We don't want our lines to be perfect. It's a tree branch. Okay, we want them to be a little bit gnarly and uneven. We're not just drawing straight lines. See, a little bit of rough texture to mine. That's what we want. And I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start at one end. And by pulling in these little strokes and continuing to pick up the brown paint, I'm giving texture to my branch. My black and my brown are mixing on my brush. A little bit more black. And on the canvas. And my tree branch is getting a little bit of texture to it. And as I come out to the very end, lightest pressure on my brush to make that line a little bit thinner. Okay. And then I'm going to keep working this way. little short lines. Pick up some brown. Tiny, tiny bit of black. Tiny bit. A little bit of black goes a long way. And then I back up a little bit. And then I go forward a little bit. I'm actually going to paint right over those feet or those claws or those talons. But that's okay because you can see where they come out of the little birdie's body. In some areas, my branch is a little thicker. In some areas, my branch is a little thinner. The important thing is that it's not ramrod straight. A lot of times when our elements go on and off the page, it just makes our art a little bit more interesting as opposed to having everything all smack right in the middle of our canvas or our artwork. Okay, and I'm going to wash my brush and give it a little bit of a squeeze dry. All right. Now I'm going to, what's that? I can put a snowflake there later. I'm going to work on both of my birds simultaneously. I could paint one and then go back to the other. I feel like it's easier when I work on them simultaneously when I have doubles like this because you're not washing your brush and going back and forth. So I'm going to load my brush with the white and I'm going to start filling in the belly of the first bird. Come over here. And again, I'm doing short little strokes. This is going to give our bird a lot of texture and make it a little bit more dimensional, okay? Then I'm going to dip into the tan. And I'm going to pull the tan around the bottom and up to meet and go over the white. So the top of my bird belly was white. And now the bottom of my bird belly is a little bit tan. And I'm mixing the tan and I'm pulling it up to the sides and over the white a little bit. And now I'm going back and forth. Okay. That's our first belly. I'm going to load my brush with white. I'm going to come back to the second bird belly underneath the scarf there and down here. And again, I'm pulling little short strokes down. If you need to do 2 coats to cover your blue or your background, that is totally up to you. I could probably do it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just adding a little bit of white back to this guy while I have the white on my brush. If your belly gets too white, add more tan. If your belly gets too tan, add more white. Okay? Again, I'm going to pick up some tan, and now I'm going to work it in from the bottom, doing the same thing. And I'm pulling the tan up into the white from the bottom. So when I did the top with the white, I pulled down, and now I'm doing scooping up with the tan. We need a little bit more white to blend. That's okay. You want, when you're blending, you want all your paint to be wet. Now, your paint may dry faster than mine. I have a space heater in here because this room gets very cold. So in the winter especially, my paint tends to dry really quick. So I have to move quick or have a spray bottle here or something to spray with my paint with water. So it dries way too quick for me to get the blending results that I want. Now I'm going to come just to the brown with my dirty brush, and I'm going to start painting in this big wing over here. Again, little tiny strokes. I want the strokes to overlap the line a little bit to look like feathers. I'm not just painting within the line. And there's one wing. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And again, little tiny strokes. And they're bypassing, overlapping, going over my tracer. The tracer is not a hard and fast rule. It's just a guide for size and placement so we know where to put everything. You do not have to stick to it 100%. I'm going outside the line and I'm pulling in these little strokes to paint in the wings. I'm using this medium round brush and overlapping the line makes it look like feathers. Okay. Then I'm going to add in a little bit of the beige. To all. A little bit. A little bit. I'm going to add in a little bit of white to all the wings. And I'm just picking up some white on the very tip of my brush. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would really appreciate you hitting the subscribe button. I am on a quest now to get 1,500 subscribers. And now, be careful. Tiny, 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 tiny bit of black. And I'm mostly just putting that onto the outside and next to the body. I need a little bit more brown for this one. This one got too blended. And tiny, tiny, tiny bit of black. Okay. Now I'm going to wipe off my brush. I'm not going to go into the water, but I am going to wipe it off. I'm going to come back to my brown. I'm going to give it a roll. If you need to do this with a liner brush or a smaller brush, that's totally okay. And I'm going to add in the tail feathers. So I'm just going to pull out. Pick up a little bit more brown and pull out 5, 6, 7 little strokes. The same thing here. Let me turn it upside down. And you want to pull out from the body, because when you pull out and like flick, your strokes get thinner on the ends just naturally. Okay. Then I'm going to get some white on my dirty brush. I'm going to start painting in the faces. You want the faces a little bit lighter. So if you have too much brown going on, you can lighten it up with some white. If it's too hard to paint around the nose, you can paint right over the nose and we'll fix it later. It's up to you. Let me see. Maybe a little bit more white on here. We're going to do that mask part up there on the face a little bit darker. But I'm going to start down here with white. And when we do the face, we want the cheeks to the outside, our brush strokes to curve like parentheses, and then our brush strokes to swoop underneath. Okay. Get a little bit more white. I'm not adding any more tan or brown to my brush. It's still dirty with paint from when we did the feathers, the wings, and the tail feathers. And I'm just adding white for the face. it's okay if the face colors are not exactly the same. They're birds, and it's just a fun painting. And again, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to round out this side like a parenthesis, and then round out this side like a parenthesis, and then scoop these strokes on the bottom. Okay. Now I'm going to pick up the dark brown, and I'm going to do the mask part of the face. Our mask part has a little bit of a flat part there. I'm just outlining it. I'm going to pick up more brown, and now I'm going to fill it in. Come across there. And now this time, if you have to go over your brush strokes, it's good to make these brush strokes go up a little bit. And it's okay if you go into your hat area, because we're going to paint right over that. Okay. Pick up a little bit more brown, and now do this guy. So I'm going to outline it. I'm going to outline it, the little flat part, outline it up here, fill it in. And then on my brush strokes, I need to get that loose fiber there. I'm just going to come in here, and I'm going to go over them all, and I'm pulling them up. And if you go into your hat area, that's okay, because we're going to fix that when we paint the hat. Okay. All right, now I am going to wash my brush. You can do, I'm going to do one of these birds in red, and I'm going to do one of these birds in blue. You can do whatever color you want. Actually, I'm going to do burgundy. I'm not going to even do bright red. You can do your hats and your scarves, whatever color you want. You can have them all match. You can have them all the different colors. You can do the scarves the same, the hats the same. Totally up to you. I'm getting out a little bit of this burgundy. I like the red and the pink and the shade that this burgundy makes when I mix it with white. And so that's what I'm going to use. I'm trying to get comfy here. Okay. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into solid burgundy. And I'm going to paint in this one's brim of the hat. So I'm going to come, I'm going to outline it. And this is where I said it didn't matter. Because see that? I just went right over those loose feather strokes. And I'm just going to fill in this part. And these strokes, we want to curve with the shape of the hat. So they're going to go in like a frowny face arch that way. Okay. Then I'm going to pick up some white on my same brush. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do the top part of the hat. And I pick up some white so we can see the difference in our hat. Now we have a light part and a dark part, and you can see what is the brim and what is the top of the hat. Okay. I'm going to go back to my burgundy, and now I'm going to do the scarf. And again, I'm outlining, and painting it in. And we want to swish. Now these strokes are a little bit more of a smiley face. They're going this way. as opposed to the hat brim that went that way. Okay, I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to put out a little bit of this, I think it's True Blue, but again, you can do any color you want. I could even take my light blue that I have, add a little bit of burgundy to it, and make it more of a purple if I wanted to. I like to not mix too much for you guys. I like to keep it simple. So I will put out a little bit of blue. But you can do you. All right. I'm going to go straight into the dark blue. Over here to the side, rolling my brush. And I'm going to do the top part or the hat brim first. Again, outlining it, cleaning up where I went over with those feather strokes before, and then filling in. With acrylic paint, you can pretty much fix anything. I try to get my painters and people who watch me to not get hung up on the little stuff, or like say you made a mistake at the very beginning, or here I put my hand in the paint. Nope, keep going. We will be able to fix anything. I'm going to pick up a little bit of light blue now. I'm not going to go into my white. You'll be able to fix anything. And don't get hung up if your background is a little bit off, or you put your finger in your paint, you drop your brush. Any number of things can happen. And it's really supposed to be fun and relaxing. So you can't ruin your art. You can ruin the experience, but you can't ruin the art. And the only way you're even going to ruin the experience is by quitting. Okay, so I put a little bit of light blue and I added in some white to there. And now we're going to do our scarf. Again, I'm outlining. I could go straight across with this, but we want the tail to paint over, or to hang over rather, the bottom of the scarf. So those brush strokes are going to be a little bit different anyway. So I'm going to do it separate. Okay. And then I'm going to pick this and I'm going to come down. I'm going to outline this. And I'm going to come down and I'm going to fill this in. And I'm just going to go about to past the branch. And then I'm going to pull out the little fringes like that are on the bottom of the scarf. Light, light, light. Okay. I'm going to pick up some white on my brush and I'm going to pull those in too. Light, light, light. Okay. We're going to wait for our pom-poms because we want the tops of our hats to dry before we do our pom-poms. And I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to put out a little bit of orange. We're going to do the beak and the feet. Okay. And I'm going to switch to this little tiny brush that I have here. First, I'm going to get a little bit of white and a little bit of tan. I'm going to fix this where I dripped a little bit of blue paint. I want it to blend in nice. I could have left it, but there was really going to be no way to hide that spot. All right, so I'm going to wash my brush. Okay, our beaks start out as a little bit of a triangle, but then with like a round part underneath. And they're almost like a diamond or like a rounded diamond. So the first thing I'm going to do is paint a triangle up here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add a little bit of brown. I just dip my brush in some brown. So I painted in a little bit of a triangle there. All right, a rounded bottom. And then I'm adding a little bit of a rounded triangle to the top. We have to outline these, so right now they're not going to look like much. But we basically want like a short, fat, rounded edged diamond. All right. I'm going to pick up my orange. I'm going to dip a little bit in my brown. And we're going to do the other side. All right. I did a triangle, a little bit of a rounded bottom. And then I came from each side and rounded and went back up on the other side and just filled that in on the bottom. Okay. Now again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get some orange. I'm going to dip in brown. And the talons, claws, feet, whatever they are, they're just 3 little strokes. So we're going to come over here and we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to pick up a little bit more orange paint. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3. And do the same thing here. Orange, tap of brown. 1, 2, 3. Orange, tap of brown. 1, 2, 3. This one's a little bit browner, so I'm going to just highlight that up a little bit. Okay. And there we have our feeties. I'm going to take the back of this brush that I've been using. I'm going to dip the back of it in the black. And I'm going to put in our eyes. To the left and the right of the nose and the middle of the scoop on the top. So the either side of the nose. Depending on the size of your handle, I'm giving a little bit of pressure and twisting it around to make my dot a little bit bigger than just dotting it on there. I'm going to clean up my handle. Okay, now I'm going to use this little brush, or if you have a liner brush or whatever small brush you're comfortable with, or you can wait until your painting is completely dry and then get a Sharpie, a fine point Sharpie or a paint pen and do this part. I'm going to outline the beaks, going to give the beaks a little bit more definition. I'm rolling, see up here, I'm rolling my brush on the side between my thumb and my forefinger. So I'm going to do the top part of the triangle. Okay. I'm going to do this little part. And then I'm going to do the bottom part. Again, roll, roll, roll. I'm going to do the top part of the triangle. I'm going to make this rounded bottom part. And then the bottom part. See how it's all starting to come together now? So cute. All right, I'm going to wash my brush. Now I'm going to turn my painting upside down. And I'm going to work on my pom-poms. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the burgundy. I'm going to start right here in the middle. And I'm going to start pulling out these little lines. You could use the bigger brush. Maybe I will on the next one. And I'm going around and I'm just filling in. I'm going to keep going in a circle until the whole pom-pom is filled in. It covers the top of the hat a little bit. And I'm going to pick up some white. We want the white. All of these brush strokes start in the same spot in the middle and pull out. And you can make it as fluffy or as sparse as you want to. I might even pick up the tiniest bit of black and put that in there for some shading. All right, and I'm going to wash my brush. And I'm going to do the same thing with the blue hat. I'm going to roll my little tiny brush in some blue. Actually, you know what? I was going to show you how to use this one for that. I'm going to get my round brush. And you can see how we can use the brush. For something like this, though, the bigger the brush, the lighter the touch. Okay, so I'm going to roll it in my blue paint. Again, between my thumb and my forefinger. My brush is almost laying down. It's at more than a 45 on my plate. Okay. I'm going to put a dot right in the middle of that circle. And I'm going to start pulling out the brush strokes, going around in a circle. They all start in the same spot. Come over and pick up some white and do the same thing. They all start in the middle and go out from there. Tiny bit of black. And there we go. Oh, that's so cute. Now that I look at it from this angle, though, it needs a little bit more out that way. They're starting to come together, you guys. Look how cute. Okay, wash my brush. Now we're going to add some snow to our branches. Make sure you have some nice fresh white. And I'm not rolling this. I'm just coming over here. I'm tapping it in here, and I'm going to show you why. I want to get a decent amount on my brush now. We're going to come over, and I want this paint to be kind of heavy. I want it to be fresh. I want it to be uneven. And we're just adding snow to the top of the branches. So these branches down here, it snowed. And these branches are being totally covered by snow. I want the paint on my brush to be a little bit thick. I'm covering the top of the branch a little bit, so it doesn't even matter if your branch line was wonky or not. A little bit down here as well. It's uneven, it's thick. And adding this snow to your branch, it just makes this whole thing winter. And then up here, without putting my hand in my paint. So I'm picking up a lot of paint. Make sure your white is nice and fresh. If it's not, you want to put out some more. And I'm making it fairly thick on top of my branches. Uneven, higher, lower, thick. And then some down here, of course. And on here. Then we probably would get a little bit of snow. Oh, wait, I'm going to wait on that. We got to do the details. 1 second. We got to do the details. Let me wipe my brush. And I'm going to do the heart. So I have the white on my brush from doing the snow. I went into my burgundy and I'm just going to draw in these hearts. Now these hearts are completely optional. You don't want any hearts hanging from your tree. You want snowflakes. You want nothing. Totally up to you. Your art, your way. I like the hearts. I think they're cute, but you don't have to put them. So I had the white on my brush, and now I'm just painting in this heart. I'm going to pick up a little bit more white, and I want to add it up into this corner here. Give a heart on this side a little bit more of dimension and some highlight. Okay, and then I'm just going to go right to this one down here. And get it all filled in. Okay. All right, we'll let those dry a little bit. I'm going to go back to that little small brush I was using before. Now we're going to start adding some details to our hats and our scarves and our hearts. We're going to hang our hearts on the line. Okay. So I'm going to roll this one in the burgundy, this small brush I have here. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of white on the end. And I'm going to add some stripes to the scarf. Now, as I work my way into the middle, I started out on more of a curve. As I work my way into the middle, the stripes get a little straight. And then as I work my way to the other side, they curve the opposite way. I'm going to pick up a little bit of white for that one. See that? First they started curving like this. The middle two are kind of straight, but not really. And then they curved like that. I'm going to do the same thing with the hat, but this time I'm going to pick up a little bit of black on the edge, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull in these curves. And as I get to the middle, that one's a little straight there. And then I'm going to start curving the other way. I'm going to pick up a tiny, 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 tiny bit of black. And I'm going to shade up in here where the hat meets the head. So I have the burgundy on my brush. I have the white on my brush. I picked up a tiny little bit of black. And I'm shading where the hat meets the head. And now under here on the scarf. A little bit. I'm going to wash my brush. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other bird. I'm going to get the blue on my brush. And I do that by rolling it between my thumb and forefinger. Then I'm going to pick up some white. And we're going to add, and a little bit of black. Okay. And we're going to, a little bit more black because my blue is taken over. Do the stripes on this part of the hat. Okay, up there they're a little bit darker. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing. Get some blue here. Pick up some white. And this time I want to make like chevron stripes. A bit more white on my scarf. So I'm doing these W's or these V's. I have blue and white on my brush. Some V's are a little bit darker. Some are a little whiter. And I'm just working my way down, being as even as I can. But it doesn't really matter. The scarf is blowing in the wind. Okay. Then when I do this part of the scarf, I want them to go sideways because the scarf, blue, white, this is how the design goes on the scarf. It just happens to be hanging differently around his neck and the tail hanging down. Let me wipe that off. I'm going to pick up a tiny, tiny bit of black. And again, I want to highlight just up here a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Where the hat is on the head. I mean highlight, I'm shading. Shade just a little bit up here. And then a little bit. Just a little bit down here at the bottom of the scarf. Okay. Now we're going to put some music notes out here. This is completely and totally optional. I'm going to stick with the little brush. We're going to put the little note. We're going to put the big tail. And then we're going to put the flag. All right. So we're going to make an oval for the note. We're going to put the tail. And we're going to put the flag. Okay. We're going to here put the oval. Another oval. Two tails this time. And then connect. And this is totally, totally optional. If you don't want to do these, you don't have to. I think they're kind of cute. But again, it's your art, your way. Some of them give them 2 flags on. I used to read music. I'd really have to think about it to decide what notes these are, quarter note, half notes. I think that's an eighth, but I'm not sure. Again, the two tails here, and then connect. And since I have 6, I want another one because I want an odd number. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to put one down here. Okay. And I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to go back to my white. If you need fresh white, put out some fresh white. I'm going to use this little brush. And I'm going to come off the branch. And I'm going to give these hearts a little bit of a string bow. And they're hanging off the branch. So I'm going to come off the branch down to the center of the heart. I'm going to put one loop. I'm going to do another loop. And then tails. Then I'm going to get the back of my brush and start adding snow. If you've got a drip of paint where you didn't want it, make sure you strategically put a snow dot over it. And I'm going to randomly add these little dots of snow to my background. I usually get 3 dots out of a dip. My dots get smaller as they run out of paint, so they're not all the same size. You could do the splatter technique for this too, but that tends to be a little messy, so I don't always do it. You can find that video on my YouTube. I have a video, 3 ways to make faux snow. So there we have it. Thank you for watching me. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. The playlist is in the description, so you can go ahead and watch the whole rest of this playlist with other talented creatives that are in this Winter Vibes Common Canvas YouTube collaboration. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you next time.